Because in the electromagnetic
No.
field outside, there is no fear, it's all peace. The fear can only exist in matter.
You know, I can't. Did you ever read the Robert Monroe books? Great books. Robert Monroe was head of NBC, or he was one of the big technicians for engineers for their audio and stuff back in the days of radio. And back in the days of radio, and he wrote 3 books, very good books. I don't know if they're still in print. He started the Monroe Institute. So just go online and search for the Monroe Institute. Robert had the natural gift of being able to go out of body at will. When he was young, it terrified him because he'd wake up or become cognizant he was out of body. When he retired from the broadcasting industry, he made it his mission to find out what this is and control it. And in his early days of going OBE, he talked about one time he did it, and he felt this other creature or energy grabbed a hold of him and was riding on his back as he was traveling out of body, and he said it was terrifying. So is the word fear only to be realized and known in the physical, or can it be felt in the out-of-body electromagnetic state? I would have to say yes. I feel what happens when we cross over, when we leave the physical, we're instantly aware of all of our actions of this lifetime. Some of it can make us feel really bad. If we did something bad, that can be a form of hell or purgatory until we come to terms. Who wrote the book on it? Was it Ruth Montgomery? One of the great authors talked about people that are in limbo or in hell are allowed to spend a certain amount of time in there analyzing their actions from this lifetime, and what they did that was bad. But they're not allowed to stay there permanently. At some point, other beings will lift them, or source will take them out of that state in order for them to grow and to re-experience. I don't feel, and again, this is just my opinion, and please nobody feel offended by it, there's not enough to be learned. Our actions in a measly 80 to 90 years are not enough to justify if we burn in hell for eternity or float around on a cloud playing a harp. And I don't mean the harp up in Alaska either. For eternity, it just logically doesn't fit, it doesn't make sense. So I think we cycle back, continuously learning, but ultimately finding our way back to God, to Source. But does fear exist? I think so. Just like some souls and some energy fields are earthbound, they're trapped here on this plane yet. That's why you have manifestations. And I got into that in my younger years, EVP, electronic voice phenomena. I did that until I got the hell scared out of me and I didn't do it anymore. It was more on a sad note, but I just didn't want to play with it anymore. There are also entities they refer to as elementals, and they're not real nice entities. And I think they can be. Robert Monroe talked about how he encountered elementals out of body. And he also taught, isn't it interesting, he talked about the different levels that exist above the earth. 7 heavens, the 7 levels, so many different philosophical concepts talk about the levels. And how as we evolve and we learn things here on the planet, we attain different levels. Although the lady that wrote the book Many Mansions, Many Lifetimes, or something like that, talked about the different levels and schooling we can learn once we leave this physical body too. There's class upon class upon class here in the pea soup, what we call the physical world, as well as in the level of spirit, the electromagnetic world. So I think it exists. Fear can exist in both places. And I think some of it is necessary for us to be aware of the mistakes we made in the physical life so we can make corrections for it in the next one. For that matter, I also believe in what's called the transmigration of souls. I think certain groups of people choose to reincarnate, and so they can meet up at some point in the physical lifetime again to augment and to help each other. That doesn't, that doesn't mean everybody's going to travel again and again and again, recycling in the same lifetime. Lifetimes can skip and then people can reconnect again. They call, well, people have all heard the term soulmate. There is also the term twin flame. And the twin flame is, those are people that are connected from the core. That is another thing that's experienced. Another way to draw the analogy over to what Raven does and the centering between the breathing and the toning is connecting to core, to center, feeling, experiencing from the core, from the heart-based, the core. I think that the heart is a little bit different than what I refer to as the core. But again, it's a generalization. The core, the source, the Godhead, the force, center, it all interconnects.
If I could, and I'm just two more questions. You may answer both of them in one. And I really thank you for spending the time and patience and expressing all this. How do you personally go back to the core? How do you get there?
Oh, how do I take myself back to the core? That's a toughie. Sitting on a vortex for one is one way to get back to the core and become core based. It's very difficult to do in the city and the current profession that I'm in that pays the bills. All of my waking time, when I'm not up here and I'm down in the valley in the city where I live, is spent work-centered, the one that pays the bills so I can fund my research up here. I am more in an autopilot mode there. And more often than not, usually on the verge of a lot of agitation. It's a very stressful job. But when I want to, no, I can't say I'm in that state all of the time. In the early years, it was very difficult for me to work from core or to come at a core level. And I tried many things to achieve that, many, many different ways of finding it. When I first arrived here in Arizona in 1999, spending a lot of time up here, most of the time it was alone. I would either go over by Kachina Rock or find a mountain to climb and sit on the top of it and allow myself to become one with the planet. For me, connecting to core begins with connecting to Gaia, connecting to the planet. Once I bond and bind with her, it's very easy to go into the core. When I'm in my normal waking state, down with my job on my mind 24 hours a day, I even dream solutions to problems at work. It's very difficult to stay heart-based and function from the core, but when I'm out of that environment down there, and especially like now speaking my passion, what I truly love, it's very easy to automatically go right into core. So I would have to say I naturally can take myself to that state, but it depends on the environment I'm in. I have to be in the right environment. In fact, I should practice my own words. I'm touting about Raven's method. I don't do that down there. I'm usually going 90 miles an hour figuring out what I have to do at work the next day. Although by working from core, I could probably solve work-related problems a heck of a lot better and they'd become less stressful. So that one's on me and something I need to learn to do a little bit more. I had one experience there quite a few years ago, beautiful experience, and I've never truly been able to duplicate it through will. It seems so many things, if you try to will it, it's not going to happen. I woke up one morning on a Sunday, and I woke up in a state of, I'm going to call it a state of perfect grace. I felt wonderful. I felt totally recharged, rejuvenated. And I had to do my shopping. Everything was right in the world. There was not one thing wrong. I went, and as I'm walking through the aisles in the store, people would walk by me, and in particular, the ladies would look at me and burst into this great big smile. And I'm going, okay, who do I look like? Or is my shoe untied, or is something out of place? And this happened reoccurringly as I went through the supermarket. When I got up to the cashier, and there was a person in front of me, when that person got done, the cashier lady looked up at me and burst into this great big smile. And I looked at her and I said, why are people doing that? She says, you're glowing. I said, I'm what? She says, you are glowing, literally glowing. That, to me, was wearing the core on the outside, wearing yourself on the outside. That's another thing that undoubtedly can happen using Raven's method, is learning to bring your core to the outside and learning how to be heart-based. Something I need to work on more myself.
It's good, we're all guilty of it.
I don't do it enough. Well, like you say, all of us don't do that enough. So we can get that through the stimulation of a vortex, or being out in nature, working from the core, or Raven's method will also take you into core. You've got to be in core to do the healing work that her method promotes. So that's a given when you do it.
One final thing then, if I may. What do you think is lacking in the consciousness that we're in right now versus where we're potentially going?
Oh, the big question. Yeah, where are we today? Well. Humanity, so much of it, in particularly here in the States, we're dumbed down. We're in a shutdown mode. There are so many, we have so much external stimulation put at us since the advent of television and the internet. I remember when cable TV came out, they said it'll be commercial free. Yeah, right. There is so much put into us. Consciously, we're stagnant. We're on the verge of a total shutdown. We're limited, dumbed down, stagnant, whatever you want to call it. That's another thing that's great with Raven's method. Pulling ourselves out of that. It's time for us to evolve, time for us to grow, time for us to connect to source and evolve to the next, if you want to call it, a higher level of vibration, a higher frequency. There's a lot of terms that can be assigned to that. I am very interested in the work a lot of people are doing now with 432. And I have to admit at this point, I know what they're doing with it. I don't know enough about it to really comment on it or what it does. But I know it does have it's a contributing factor with several other frequencies to help us raise our level of vibration or level of consciousness. Just like Raven's method is another way to help us raise our level of consciousness. Too much of society. I like the term dumbed down better because it's hardcore. We are dumbed down. Our diet has created solidification of the pineal gland. They've done surgery and removal on some people, and the pineal gland is literally calcifying. That is not only a result of diet, it's also a result of all of the electromagnetic stuff we're being bombarded with, as well as stimulation from the media. The pineal gland, the body's looking at it going, it really serves no more purpose. Why have it? Turn it into a fossil. We're drones. Are we manipulated? Probably through commercialism and the way it all works. And I pray to God at some point people are going to wake up. Everybody's asleep. They're missing the point. They're missing the true essence of what we are and what we're to become and what we're supposed to be. They need to wake up. And I don't say that to be mean. I just say that to please wake up. When I'm walking around the city, and I've done this for years, there are times I want to walk up to people standing on the sidewalk and grab them and go, wake up. Shake them a little bit, go, wake up. We need to. I see a more of, and not with everybody, but if I look at global population as a whole, it seems like there's more degeneration going on than there is evolving or awakening or reaching a higher level, it seems to be going in the opposite direction. And that's very sad to me and bugs the heck out of me. People are missing out on so much. They're missing out on what they truly are. I wish the world would evolve to be more heart-centered. I know I'll never see it in my lifetime. That bothers me too. But I know it doesn't apply to everybody. And again, if I want to look at that logically, what do you have in the universe to maintain balance? Good and bad, light and dark, yin and yang, dumb down and awake, I guess. But I hope more people wake up because we're out of balance. There's too many people asleep. We need to at least bring it back to a balanced state, and hopefully more people awake than there are asleep.
Thank you. Is there anything else you feel like sharing?
Oh, not right now. All this makes sense because even when I speak down in the valley, I go to a place called Crossroads for Men. Back in 1988, 2 of my kids were killed in a car accident, and I climbed in the bottle for 10 years. I climbed it big time. 27 hospitalizations that I remember, my own death, and a hellacious bunch of other stuff. So there, for the grace of something a hell of a lot greater than I, 11 years ago, I was able to stop it all. And some very, very wonderful people that helped me find the way to do it. People that made sense to me, a lot of them Native Americans. People that made me aware that some things in life just don't go away, but you learn to adapt them and turn the poison into medicine. How to take the negative and turn it into a positive. So today, periodically, I go and speak at a place called Crossroads for Men, and there's a place Crossroads for Women, and they don't let me there. But I go to the guy place, and I speak to guys that are trying to beat their addictions, be it from drugs or be it from alcoholism. Thank God I didn't get deep into the drugs. It was the alcohol. One and the same, though. And I will tell them my story and hit on things, and I make eye contact with every person as I'm talking, and I know I've hit on something when I see someone start going like this, and then when I see their jaw drop, I know I really hit something, and I'll try to expound on whatever was coming out of me at the time. But when I'm all done with this, and a lecture can go for an hour, I've got to look at somebody and go, did I make sense? I have no recall of what I said. So I laugh, I chuckle at the term channeling, because it's like, you know, I've done some form of that my whole life, because a lot of the things that I speak are coming in as they're going out. They're not all from here or all from here. It's a flow. It's again connecting back to source, collective consciousness, the universe. One of my favorite people is, how do you pronounce his name? Deepak Chopra. He's right on the mark with it. And I understand it totally. I wish more people could. So at any rate, as long as this was good and you got a lot of good stuff that'll work for you, then it's good for me.
Thank you very, very much for your time.
Oh.